Okay, so look, this video is really just me telling you, if you're in your 20s, this is, at least from my opinion, what I would suggest that you would start doing now to set yourself up financially. So that way, as you get into, your 30s, your 40s and beyond, you will be in a significantly better financial position than, say, had you not done these things, right? Because how do I know that these are the way that you should go about doing these things? It's because I didn't do these things. And when I look back, I ask myself, what would you do differently if you wanted to set yourself up in a strong financial position? And then I came up with these very things that I'm about to share with you guys right here in this video. So if I had a chance to be, roughly 20 years old or anywhere in that general range, 18 or 22, 23, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just younger, right? Around in that general age. And I wanted to set myself up to be in a strong financial position so that way ultimately I could build wealth and ultimately reach financial freedom. So I no longer have to be worrying about where's my money coming from? Am I making enough money? How am I gonna, put myself in a situation so that way I no longer have to worry about, am I gonna be able to retire? Any of those type of things, right? If I do these decisions while I'm in my 20s and I just go ahead and implement all these things, when I get into my 30s, possibly even 40s, worst case scenario, I will either have already reached financial freedom or I will be well on my way, right? So this is what I would do. First and foremost, I would, use my time that I have available, whatever it is. So if you're in school, when you get out, whatever free time you have, this is where you want to, use this time. Now, if you've already graduated and you're not going to college, this is where I'm kind of talking to. This is kind of that time where I'm speaking to. So if you're not in school and you're not working, or you are someone who maybe has a part-time job, or maybe you got a little full-time job, but you don't work a ton of hours, you're not working 12, 13, 14 hours, you're just working probably 8 hours, probably going to be your first job, something like that. What I would do is any of my free time that I have when I'm not doing that job or I'm not in school, I would then make it a point to start looking at learning skills that would allow me, once I've fully acquired the skill and then get some experience doing that thing, that have a reputation for making a higher level of income. Now, I wouldn't necessarily, unless I wanted to, worry about getting any type of specific skill that is going to be where I need to go to college for it, where I'm going to, I don't necessarily want to choose a skill or a skill set that I want to acquire that's going to require me to have to go to a 4-year degree, get a 4-year degree, go to college for 4 years, or even some other career field or skill set that's going to require even more than that amount of school, right? I would want to acquire a skill set that's going to allow me to make better than average income. So you can look up hey, what does the average person make, or what does a higher income earner make? And then you want to get as close to that higher income, as possible, but without having to have the requirements where you got to go to school for some very long time in order, to qualify to get the degree. Because the idea is you want to try to eliminate school. And then I would choose that career path or that skill set that I want to acquire. I would start doing whatever's necessary to set myself up so I could acquire that skill set, whether that's signing up to go to some short-term school, whether that's signing up for a program to get some kind of certification, or getting hired at a company where I can then work my way up, whatever it is. But I need to get around or in something that is where I could acquire that skill set. If you want to learn the skill set of sales, then maybe you want to get some low-level, entry-level sales job that's going to be very easy for you to get into, because they're always hiring because they need salespeople, and they don't expect a whole lot of experience because it's an entry-level sales position. So that would be like an example. You would say, hey, I want to get into sales. Salesmen, experienced salesmen in certain industries, they make very good money because they could generate a lot of money for a business. So then you would say, okay, hey, get into sales, and that's the career path I want to go down. Then as I'm going down this path of acquiring the skill set, quite naturally it's going to take time, right? Like, you're not going to just acquire the skill overnight. It could take you maybe as little as 6 months to like learn a skill or gain a skill. And then after I got the skill and I've acquired it, then I want to start looking at where's going to be the places, whether they're someone's company or whether you want to go out on your own and do your own thing, where you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be able to make ideally as much as possible, right? You want to kind of like shortcut the scenario where it's going to take you years and years and years for you to make like pretty good income. So then whatever that looks like, if that's you going out on your own and starting your own business, or going to go get hired at another company, so that way you could have a much better idea of what like you operating that type of industry is going to look like, then maybe it's that, right? Maybe you go ahead and do that. Then now you're actually like making it happen. You got a high income earning skill set. You are now in a real world situation out there executing, doing and implementing that skill set, earning an income from it. And over the time, as you gain more and more experience in that field, you're going to get better and better at what it is that you do, and you're going to only become more valuable in that industry. Now then, with that income, I would then be like, okay, I'm making way more money than the average person does, and along this way I would be doing everything in my power to keep my actual expenses, like what I'm going to be spending money on in order to take care of myself, on a monthly basis and on a yearly basis. I would want to keep those expenses as minimal as possible. Now, I'm not talking about like some extreme frugal, like, hey, you're never going to spend any money, you have to live with your parents kind of thing or whatever. Sure, in the beginning, you're young, you're not making a whole lot of money, you're just getting started. Maybe you are staying with like your parents until you get things going and things are rolling and you're making a fair, decent amount of money. Or maybe you could go ahead and get you an apartment, or maybe you buy your first home or whatever. But in general, I would want to keep my expenses ideally as low as possible. So as long as you're able to keep your expenses relatively low in comparison to the income that you're earning. So like, let's just say you're going to earn, I don't know, $10,000 a month. If you can keep your monthly expenses to somewhere like $2,000-$3,000 a month, and now you have all that excess money left over, and it's just you, like I definitely would not get myself in a situation where I have a lot of other responsibilities or other people that I'm going to be, responsible for, like getting into relationships. And I'm not saying you can't get into one, but like, you just got to realize, like, when you do and you start to take on more, what happens if, say, you find yourself in a situation where it's like, now that is one more person that you are liable for. Like, you have to, you have to account for that. There's more expenses when you now get with someone else. Especially the likelihood is, if you're a guy, you're definitely going to incur some more expenses. And it's not just more expenses in the sense of financially, it's also expenses as far as your time, because you're going to have to spend more time with this person and if you actually expect your relationship to work, right? So there's that part. And then if you end up having, say, kids, and you really go that far with it, and you're still, trying to put yourself in a strong financial situation, the earlier that you start taking on having a family, having kids, again, now it's even more of your time and more of your income. So now you're raising your expenses that you need, you are now raising your expenses. And the idea is to try to keep your expenses as low as possible, because if you could have a pretty high income and your expenses are low, it means you have a lot of income left over, right? And that's the idea. You want to create as wide of a gap as possible between the income that you are earning and then the expenses that you have to actually pay out, like your mandatory living expenses. We're not talking about just things that you want. We're just saying for you to survive on a monthly basis, and be comfortable, what do you have to spend? Like, where do you have to pay for, your housing, like wherever you live? Do you pay your parents' rent, or do you have your own apartment? Things like that. And then other stuff would just be like, okay, like your food, your transportation, all those things, just everything that you would actually have to spend money on like a monthly basis, right? That's pretty much what we're talking about. Your mandatory living expenses, your cell phone, all these things, right? So if you could keep those expenses as low as possible, and then you have a pretty relatively high income, all of that excess money that you're gonna have left over, you're not gonna just take that now and just, let me just go out here and like ball out and just spend it on doing like, things that are like not even necessarily like reckless or like frivolous, but like you don't want to just go out there and just do things that most people would do with their income. Like, I'm just gonna go on vacations, or I just want to buy these things that I like, and it's just gonna ultimately eat up all of that free and clear income, that you're earning. That is definitely not what you would want to do with it. What you want to start doing is taking some of that income and start saying, okay, I don't have to apply this income to anything. This is my free and clear income. Where is some places where I could start to grow my wealth and build my wealth without it requiring more of my time? The three that I know, and really the only two that I know that I would probably recommend and say, hey, these would be two really great, asset classes or options for you to look into that would help you really build your wealth, that is not going to require a lot of your time. It's going to be for you to take some of that income and start investing it into the stock market. Now, the way that you go about it, whether you choose individual stocks or you invest in, funds like index funds or ETFs or whatever, that's totally up to you. That's up to each and every person's, individual direction that they want to go as far as, investing into the stock market. I'm not going to tell you one way is better than the other. No, you could definitely go ahead and start getting involved into the stock market. I believe that it's a very great, asset class to get involved into, because once you purchase your investments and you're just, whether you're doing it on a monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever it is, when you are investing into the stock market, it doesn't require much of your time. It's just you go on your phone, you click buy, you add the money in, or you set up on a reoccurring, purchase, whatever it is. But it's just like a few moments, literally like a few seconds, and you're done. After that, you own the shares of the index fund or the individual stock or whatever it is, but it doesn't require your time. Now you're just waiting, and when the company performs well, you're going to see your investments go up. When the companies are not performing as well, you're going to probably see, those investments dip. Or when the market is going up, how they say, like a rising tide, raises all ships. So you're invested into the stock market. When the stock market goes up, well, your investments are going to go up. When the stock market's going down, you could be invested in great investments. Well, they're probably going to go down. But it's going to be a really great place for you to invest a fair amount of your money into the stock market and allow your wealth to grow without requiring you to do more work or requiring, a lot of your time. So that would be the first place where I would say it would be like a really great option for you to go ahead and allocate some of your money, so that way you could get on this path of setting yourself up in a strong financial situation, so that way you could build wealth and ultimately reach financial freedom. Now, the next place that I would say that if I had the chance to do it, I would go back when I'm in, that younger years of my life. I would say, okay, I want to get my hands on some real estate, single family homes, but not just any type of real estate. Again, single family homes, because I understand that a family or someone who's living in a home, the last thing that they want to let go of, when it comes to their financial responsibilities, like they might not pay, they might be willing to let their car go, if things get tight financially, or they might be willing to not pay their credit cards on time, or maybe even not pay them at all. But what they're not willing to do is they're not willing to just, lose the place that they call home, the place where they want to be living at, where their family's at, or where they go home to sleep at night. They want to make sure that above all things is secured. So I would want to become an investor into a single family home, just like a basic, whatever, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, that could just hold like your basic family. Nothing special. But the little caveat here is I don't want it in just any area. I want to purchase real estate in an area that I know people have a desire to live in. So it doesn't have to be some fancy brand new area, but I want it to be an area that you see is an area or a city that is growing over time. Like you're starting to notice more and more people are moving into that area, not the opposite, where more and more people are leaving because they're like, oh, you know what, this city is just, it's too bad, the crime is high, all of these things. That's like the opposite of what you want, right? That would be the perfect example of saying, hey, that's a city, you would definitely not want to be getting involved in, investing in real estate anyways. So you want to find a city and a state that's a desirable place for people to live, and where you could find a property that you could go ahead and that you would qualify and be able to purchase. And then because it's a desirable, state and city for, people to want to live in, and the people are wanting to go there, there's probably going to be a lot of growth going on in that area. And because of that, that means as more and more people come in to move into that place and into that city, there's going to be more and more of a demand for the real estate because people got to live somewhere. And then because you are an investor in the real estate, the prices of the real estate are going to go up over time. And that is going to be where you are going to win as an investor. And this will be the second asset class, or maybe it's the only asset class if you choose not to invest into the stock market. But nevertheless, investing into real estate through single family homes is going to be a really great way for you to build your wealth, because you're going to invest some of that free and clear income that you have into acquiring a single family home, rent it out to a tenant. Could be a family, whatever it is, could be, a little young couple, even just a single person. Doesn't really matter. It's just, the point is, you just really want to screen out, filter out your tenants, get you a really good tenant that has good verifiable income, a good track history of where they're renting. You rent that tenant your property. They're going to pay you the rent on time. They're going to completely pay for your mortgage, property taxes, insurance, all that stuff. Cool. Now you're building wealth in the stock market. You're building wealth through investing into real estate. That is where you purchase real estate in an area that people have the desire to live in, and that the area in itself, the value of the properties are increasing over time. So now you are building wealth in the stock market and in real estate. And you are also now, as you are owning these assets, you have great wealth building assets. So your wealth is only going to go up over time. And then on top of that, you have a higher than average income earning skill set. So you're going to be making good money, and you own high quality assets that are just going to grow in value over time. And if you do these things, the longer timeline that you look out, basically the amount of wealth that you have is only going to just accelerate. And the rate in which your wealth is going to grow is only going to go faster, because that's just simply how compounding works. In the beginning, it seems like it takes a lot just to, it's like years are going by and you're like, oh, my wealth portfolio is not really that high. Then as the compounding, as the wealth is starting to compound year after year, you're starting to watch your balances, jump up, a little more significantly. And then you look out, a decade, or maybe even 15 years, definitely by the time you look at 20 years, you start saying, well, there's like a substantial amount of money here, and this is not requiring much of my time. And you were able to accomplish all of this because you set yourself up when you didn't have a lot of responsibilities. You didn't have a lot of your time that you had to allocate to other people. You chose early on to invest in yourself, acquire a skill set that's going to have you in a situation where you could demand a higher income as you're earning, as you're working. So you got a good income skill set. You kept your expenses low. That freed up a lot of your hard-earned income. And then you purchase assets in the stock market investing into single family homes and real estate, and you grew your wealth, and you will reach financial freedom. And this is exactly what I would tell somebody who's, again, in that younger age group, 18, 25, under 30. Or even this information still applies to anyone, even if you're older than 30. But it's just going to become easier for you to apply these things the younger you are, because you're going to have less responsibilities. You're going to have more time to implement this and give yourself more time for your wealth to grow. So, hey, if you guys found this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And so what's going to happen next is another video is going to pop up here on the screen. Be sure to click that video, and I will see you guys in the next video.